One of the toughest things about navigating autoimmune conditions was the connection with the brain. And there have been several studies that have been done that connect the brain to autoimmune conditions. And one thing I realized was that these conditions were getting me betrayed left and right, were getting me abandoned. People thought I was weird. People thought there was something wrong with me. And there was. I was living with many disabilities, and I could not function the way that an average person could. The way that I focused on details, the way that my focus was just completely out of whack, the way that I did things was completely different. And sometimes I would make things very complex than they should be. Other times I was just very slow at doing things, and all of these traits would make it very difficult for me to stay at different jobs because they would see a mistake, and instead of giving me a warning, I would just automatically get fired. And it had nothing to do with my capability. But I see this so often where somebody who is struggling and suffering with these conditions is also making a lot of mistakes. There's a lack of attention to detail, and it's very hard to focus, let alone dealing with the brain fog, dealing with everything around you in the environment, and also knowing that you have to have this responsibility in order to pay your medical burdens. It just adds a level of complexity to everything that you're doing. And I realized that oftentimes many people who have no clue about these conditions, no clue about how serious this disability actually is, made it even more difficult. And even though they said, yeah, we allow people with disabilities, we're open to diversity, we want people to join our team. Yeah, most of these companies do, but do they really understand you? Do they really understand what you're going through? Can they forgive you and understand that sometimes you cannot be perfect? You're just gonna give it your best. And I went into the workplace every day knowing that I'm going to give it my best. I'm going to give it my all. And of course, my all and my best may not be the best. It may not be good enough for someone else, but that will not determine my value. And in the beginning, it did have the power to determine my value because each of these situations were very difficult to navigate. Losing a job, finding a job, it just created a lot of complexity, instability. And I thought, when are we going to get to a place where workplaces start to understand these people and accept them for who they are and not just let them go because of their condition and because of their behaviors that are related to their condition? When are we going to be given a chance to be acknowledged and accepted and loved for the fact that we're just struggling and trying to make it through, and we are capable, but we may need more time. We have to function differently. Our lifestyle is completely different. Our identity is completely different because these conditions dominate our health. And so anytime that you've been fired, you've been scolded, you've been warned against how you're functioning with these conditions, know that it's not your fault. It's not something that you can control while you're living with these conditions. And after being fired multiple times over not being a culture fit, over not being good enough, not being the best in it person that somebody could hire, I did have other capabilities. I remember I took a company from $0 to $1 billion within 3 years. I remember I took a company from $0 to making $1 million a month. And all of these skill sets came from me, even though my lack of attention to detail was there. Yeah, I would make mistakes here and there. The brain fog really made it difficult to focus. But like I said, I always gave it my best, and that's where your focus should be. Give it your best and know that no one's opinion determines your value because no one understands your suffering.